starting hobbies? Why can it be? Why is it so intimidating? Why is it so difficult? We're gonna focus more on the hobby of off-roading, but I've started quite a few hobbies over the last, I don't know, 6, 7 years. And it typically always feels very similar, right? That people are gonna notice you're a beginner. People are gonna judge you, whether you're starting a gym, a musical instrument, or taking your truck or vehicle off-roading. My experience when I first started, I'm still a beginner for sure. I think we started going off-roading, or maybe like around January, and I would say sometimes I still feel this way, because it's a very, how do I say it, bougie hobby, right? It attracts a lot of people that are willing to just put everything on the credit card and they look the part. While someone like me who's on a budget, you don't look the part, right? You have a budget set up, maybe you get one thing per month and you make it work. Right? And right away, in your mind, you already think people are judging you, even though they probably aren't. And if they are, who cares? You won't even know. A good example of this is the first time we hit a real trail, because we were doing like super beginner, almost like we could call it a touristy dirt trail. Well, it was Burns Canyon, which is a easy trail, but still has inclines and declines and a lot of ruts. So it's still not for the faint of heart. And I remember my biggest worry was seeing a real off-roader with a real rig. It sounds so stupid to say out loud, but I mean, that's just how the mind works, right? Even my girlfriend was saying, I don't want to see anybody. And it's kind of funny to say out loud, but that's just kind of where your mind goes. Because we don't have the roof rack or the bed rack or the winches or the red tow, I don't know, tow recovery hooks or anything like that. We don't have the lights, we don't have the lift kits and the 33-inch tires and the K double whatever G tires, whatever, right? We have some cheap all-terrain tires, and that's it. Everything. And my traction boards are inside the bed under a cover, so you can't even see that I have them. That's all we have. We just have our bottle jack, some rubber cone base that I found that were thrown away. They work awesome. And and I think that's a block of wood and 2 other pieces of wood, or planks of wood, I guess you could call them. I'm trying to think. A compressor, some plugs in case we get a nail, water, some working gloves, and that's pretty much it right now. That's our setup. We've gotten stuck twice and we've gotten out of them by ourselves. Because unfortunately when we're out there, which is usually typically Fridays, or Mondays, there's no one out there. It's just us. So it's like I was thinking, okay, so what would be the next thing I could get in this hobby, right? Like, honestly, the bottle jack has been so crucial to getting unstuck that I was like, if this thing ever broke on me, that's it. I would be stuck out there. So I'm getting a second one, like a little hydraulic one. I'll probably use that one because it's cheap and it's hard to replace the OEM one. Or harder, not as common, right? Because you have to worry about getting the OEM. You have to pay top dollar to get the OEM because you don't get the cheap knockoff ones. So I'd rather beat up the $25, $30 hydraulic pump versus the OEM one that came with the truck. because that one works just fine, and it's more like a mechanical one versus hydraulic. I just don't want it, the little the thing that spins, that's probably the weakest point where it could probably wear down. So I would rather save that one and use another cheaper one and have that one break on me, because if I already used it twice. So we started hitting real off-road trails in April, and I've already used it twice, technically 3 times, because one time that we got stuck twice. Then we're going to be using it a lot. I just feel like, so yeah, that's another thing, an intimidation factor in starting hobbies. In off-roading, there's definitely like this fear. It has a different fear factor from other hobbies, right? I started playing cello like around my late 20s. That was a huge intimidation factor. I started learning Japanese a little earlier than that. That had a big intimidation factor. What else was it? Obviously, I started gardening. I got into like first vegetable gardening, then I got into like cactus gardening. What else? Obviously, I got into like horror movies, a bunch of other crap, little stuff here and there. And the unique fact, and I guess like obstacle course racing, which also had a big fear factor. But I think the unique thing about off-roading is that it has this and cause not even hiking has it, because we do a lot of hiking, right? And people always like, be careful, tell people where you are. And obviously a lot of trails we hit are super remote. We don't see a single person ever, and we never got into any situation at all. Nothing that we could tell you like, oh, we got off course on a trail and we got lost for like an hour. Like, that's never happened, because we're smart. We carry our offline maps. We know how to read the topography, so it's hard to get lost. And when there's 2 of us, it's easy to look out for each other when we feel like we got off the trail. But if you were by yourself, I could see that happen, and you're just kind of distracted. You're walking along, but that's never happened. But in off-roading, considering that we're still beginners, and we got stuck once in the Pinto Basin Mountains on a mine road, off basically a side trail to the main trail, and we were out there for almost 2 hours trying to get unstuck. And it was our first time getting stuck, so that's what also didn't help. And it's almost 100 degrees. We're a little unprepared, but the thing is that, and then we got stuck again the next time we went out again, but this time in a different area, more of like a wash. More like a river wash, dried out, a lot of river rocks that are slippery. We got high centered on a rock that looked deceivingly small, and it wasn't. So this hobby has this fear factor of like getting stuck, bringing enough water, because if you're in the desert and you get stuck and you don't have enough water and you're working on the sun, your mind's gonna go there, right? Because it's a very real possibility. You can't just, you know exactly what could happen. So it has this weird, like, self-sufficient, common sense, almost like street smarts on how to use your tools, on how to get out of things, right? Like, there's no guidebook on exactly what the situation you're going to get into and how you're going to get stuck. They're all uniquely different, right? They're not going to be all the same, because it's not always going to be in the same place. Not going to be the same sand, not the same rocks. Rocks going to be in different places. Your truck is going to lean in a certain way. So every situation is unique, and each time you get stuck is a unique situation to solve. And because we drive a 2-wheel truck, I don't know if it makes it easier to get unstuck. I heard people say it's easier to get a two-wheel drive vehicle unstuck than a 4x4, because a 4x4 they just tend to get themselves into a worse situation because they're just trying to spin their way out. But I don't know. But I'm starting to learn now that getting stuck and two-wheel drive off-road is just part of the game. I'm not saying that we're getting stuck because the truck's not capable. It's just shit happens. You don't see a rock, you get high centered. As you're learning, right? These things are going to happen as you learn which rocks are too high to be straddled and what sand looks suspicious that you should be careful. Or like my case is always be careful U-turning, or if you get to the end of a trail and you're on a narrow trail, backing out and going back is where you're most likely to get stuck because you're kind of going off the trail. So that's where you have to be the most careful and pick a really good spot. Come on, to U-turn or turn around. So it has that other fear factor of getting stuck, putting your life in danger, right? Because you are away from help. No tow truck's gonna go get you, right? Making sure it's just a lot of things, right? I keep going into a lot of detail of a lot of things, battery, hoses, and all this other crap, right? You want your vehicle to have the basics. So I think also because we're off-roading in a two-wheel drive vehicle, you feel even more like an imposter because all we have is a rear locker. And that's it. That's what we have and that's what we use, and we're fine with that. And we've been getting through everything just fine. Obviously, our truck has limitation as long as we understand that. I don't see what the big deal is, but the mind wants to make you feel like you're less than, right? Every time you go out, you feel like you're gonna be judged, like you don't belong. You don't have all the things bought, but at the same time, it's like, damn, dude, like the shit that people get to get into this hobby is kind of insane. I mean, the stuff you have to buy. And this could go for absolutely anything you do. Like you could be on the couch playing video games every day, and all of a sudden you decide, I want to start walking my dog. And you're gonna feel something similar of, that anxiety of being on the street and feeling people like think you can't walk your dog, or you're walking him the wrong way, or if you go running and if you want to take up marathon running or 5Ks or 10Ks, and you look up, what's a good technique on how to get in better shape, and the videos are telling you, well, you're running wrong with your stupid thumbnails, right? Making you feel like you're not running the right way, you're not wearing the right shoes, and all this other bullshit. And it's like, it makes you feel like, what the fuck? Like I don't even know. So what? I don't even know how to run now. I'm not running the right way. I'm not heel stepping the right way. I'm not leaning in the right angle. Right? It's like that for everything now. I hate that about the internet. It's like you can't even look up anything about anything because you're doing it wrong. Because you've been doing it wrong your whole life. It's mind-bogglingly stupid. Right? And it could be like that for anything. Like, I'll give you a cool story, interesting story when I wanted to learn how to play cello. And I remember I was so nervous to go to my first lesson that I remember getting physically ill. I had like the stomach shits, or during my way to the lesson, but of course I couldn't until I got home. And I don't think I had really ever been forced myself to do something that was so scary, or to me, until I did that. And I remember even the whole process, damn dog, and even just the process of, because I knew nothing about how to get cello lessons, how to get an instrument, and it honestly turned out to be really simple. But you just get, when you're scouring the internet, there's just so much information, 1,000 different people telling you how to do it, and it becomes over, right? It's like you look up so much information. It's like, I'll give you a good example for off-road. It's like just, I'm like, okay, I think since we're alone so much, I think a winch would be a good step. Only because we go literally 100% of the time we've been alone. And the times we've been stuck, nobody's been there. We can't depend on other people. So I'm like, okay, so let's see. We don't want to replace the bumper yet. It's perfectly fine. I'll keep the stock one until we bang it and break it or something. And it's like you get like 100 different methods of different bumpers you could buy to make it easier, or you have to spend almost $1,000 on a stupid plate to put it in your original bumper. And I'm just like, what kind of, I am not spending $1,000, which is like 3 times the cost of a winch, just to put the winch in, when I could just put it by a tow hitch cradle for the winch. It's just stupid, right? And you get like 1,000 different methods, and you just end up like, oh my god, like it's just too much. And it's like that with anything. Like I remember when I first started going to do a sparring race, just like an obstacle course race, and just wanting to look up, oh, what are you gonna need? What should I train? And instead of, honestly, like if you're just there to just do it, and you're not really like, it's not even your second time, just go out and do it. Experience everybody to do some general fitness, especially if you're starting from ground zero, which is where I was at. But you're over here trying to maximize training, even though it's like your first time. I was still chubby at the time, right? And then that's another great example, is just going to the gym. I remember when I made sure I lost a lot of weight. I was fairly skinny by the time, well, I was skinny my whole life, but then I gained weight, and I was just kind of wanted to lose weight, and I lost it all before I started heading to the gym, which I should have done, which is when I regained half the weight back, is what I did the second time, which is I just went to the gym from the very beginning. But the first time I decided to do it afterwards, and I remember like just sticking to the treadmills, feeling like people were judging me, that I was a noob, right, that I didn't know what I was doing. And I remember I was even the second time, and I have never stopped going since then. I have a home gym now. I remember just being too self-conscious to even stop at a machine that I was curious to know how to do it, but I didn't want to read the instructions that they have on the machines, because then people would notice that I was a beginner, or that I didn't know what I was doing, which is ridiculous if you think about that. So I mean, after I was like, fuck it, I don't care, and I would now purposely go out of my way in order to force myself to stop being scared of such a stupid thing. Which is, what you should do. You have to expose yourself to these things in order to not be afraid of them, right? If you're afraid to off-road in your two-wheel drive vehicle, just make sure you have a jack and some traction boards. That's literally all you need to get unstuck. Bare minimum. But know your limits, right? Go with what you're comfortable with. Start from the ground up. Take the most baby trail possible while you get comfortable, while you learn what it feels like to have sand under your tires, hitting small rocks, right? Maybe you want it to be a little closer to civilization, or you purposely go out on the weekends when you have less time, or more time. For me, it's less time, right? Just so that there's more people active on the trail. Or you go when there's less people, so that you don't feel as nervous. So to finish it off, why do we allow ourselves to be afraid? Have you ever allowed yourself to be paralyzed simply because you're afraid or nervous or anxious to start a new hobby, where you're just doing the research part and then you never get out of that part? So have you ever allowed yourself to just get stuck in that beginning phase where you're just nervous and you're afraid and you're doing all the research, and you kind of spend like a month in that phase of what gear you're gonna need, but you never start making the steps to actually get there? So honestly, I don't really know. I just kind of wanted to make a video to let you know that it's perfectly normal to feel those emotions. It seems we kind of, some of us, or a lot of us have them. And honestly, it's just about kind of fighting through them, facing those emotions head on, knowing that you're not the only one that feels them, but at the same time, knowing that that shouldn't stop you from doing something and that they're only temporary. And honestly, the best remedy for those kind of things is just to be humble. You know, be honest with yourself. You're a beginner, you're learning, and you're open-minded. Don't ever, pretend to be an expert on anything. And be always open to learning, and you're gonna be just fine. How can you feel like an imposter when you're just out there learning? And no matter what hobby you're trying to do, the best thing is just do it with as little commitment as possible. It's the best thing. Don't be that guy who goes and buys everything at retail price to start a hobby you've never done. Do as little commitment as possible, as little money investment as possible, and then do it. Even if you like it, don't just jump the wheel, I don't know, or jump and then just start buying everything. Take your time. It's more fun when you take time to acquire things, when you make smart choices, smart investments.